What if I told you this tiny white crystal once held the same power over the world that oil and data have today? That one city used it to build an empire so powerful, even modern tech giants are copying their strategies? This isn't just a story about salt. It's a story about how controlling one essential resource can shape the entire world. And it all started in a city built on water. Before we dive into Venice's rise to power, let's understand why salt mattered so much. Today, we think of salt as that thing we're supposed to eat less of. But in medieval times, salt wasn't just for taste. It was the difference between eating and starving. Without refrigeration, salt was the only way to preserve food. A single cow required 40 pounds of salt to preserve its meat. Ships needed thousands of pounds for long voyages. Armies couldn't march without it. Quite literally, no salt meant no survival. Today, salt is so cheap we barely think about it. But in medieval times, controlling salt meant controlling whether food could be preserved at all. And Venice didn't just control salt. They controlled the only way to keep food from spoiling across all of Europe. That's a level of power that's hard to imagine today. But why Venice? The answer lies in geography. Venice sat in a perfect location. Shallow lagoons ideal for salt production, protected from both storms and enemies. Nature had given them everything they needed. But it's what they did with this advantage that changed history. Salt production was simple in theory. Let seawater evaporate in shallow pans, collect the salt. But Venice industrialized this process centuries before the Industrial Revolution. They built massive salt works, developed specialized tools, created the world's first assembly line for salt production. In the year 1000, Venice's rulers made a decision that would make today's monopolies look amateur. First, they banned private salt production. Everything had to go through the state. Next, they began what I call the salt trap. Here's how the trap worked. Venice approached cities with a simple offer.
Buy all your salt from us at our prices. In return, you'll never run out.
Sounds fair, right? But here's the genius part. Once cities dependent on Venetian salt, Venice started adding conditions. Want salt? You'll have to buy our other products too. Need more salt? Accept our banking terms. Try to get salt elsewhere? No more trade with Venice at all. Of course, controlling such a valuable resource made Venice a target. Their solution? Build the most advanced navy the world had ever seen. The Venetian arsenal could build a complete warship in a single day, an achievement that wouldn't be matched until World War II. But ships and salt weren't enough. Venice needed a way to manage all this wealth. They invented new forms of banking that we still use today. The first government bonds, the first international banking system, the first public companies, all because of salt money. At its peak, Venice controlled not just salt, but all trade across the Mediterranean. They weren't just selling salt, they were controlling the infrastructure of medieval life itself. But every empire has its weakness. For Venice, it came from an unexpected direction. Better salt production technology elsewhere. As other regions learned to produce their own salt more efficiently, Venice's monopoly began to crack. A reminder that even the strongest monopoly can fall to better technology. The parallels to today are striking. Just as Venice controlled medieval life through salt, modern companies control digital life through data. The commodity has changed, but the strategy remains the same. Control an essential resource, build infrastructure around it, use that control to influence everything else. Remember how they turned a simple white crystal into an empire. And remember that all monopolies, no matter how powerful, depend on controlling something everyone needs. If you found this story fascinating, hit subscribe and the notification bell to catch our next video. Thanks for watching.